Let's go to other pages there. On page 7, insecurity. State assemblies move to debate state police. Right, still on the front page. FG ASU enter talks on 40% pay rise. The story is equally there on page 59. Let's go to some other stories below there. You have 828 million liters of petrol imported to avert nationwide shortage. Stories on page 51. All right, 2027, I won't settle for vice president slot, says Amechi. Right, of course, that's the stories that we have on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Those are the stories. All right, coming to the Nation newspaper of this morning, Oshun ex-SSG Adeoti dumps Aregbe Shola's group. The story is equally there. Dangote pumps 50 million liters of petrol per day into markets. Tinubu Adu left a template for good governance in Kogi. How to halt escalating insecurity, build nationhood by Bakare. All right, we also have there, it's now total war on terrorists. That story we has a writer. Airstrikes pound criminals in Katsina, Borno, abductions in Kogi, Kwara, Sokoto. And that's all I have. Over to you, Fumbi.
All right, I have the Nigerian Tribune here with me, and on the front page, we have a story on page 12. It says, bandit strike in Kogi as troops thwart terrorist attack in Chibok, others. The writer says, Ekiti deploys security personnel in Kogi, Kwara boundary communities. All stories on page 12. On page 4, alleged lead poisoning. Ogun begins free testing of Ogijo residents. Ex-SSG Adeoti quit Aregbe Shola's group. That story is on page 45. And on page 6, Dangote refinery to supply 1.5 billion liters of petrol monthly. Moving on to page 11, Atiku raises the alarm on NNPCL's expenditure, alleges Tinubu administration sustaining subsidy payment. NECO accredits schools in Burkina Faso for SSCE, BECE examinations. That story is on page 4. And on health, severe gum disease contributes to low libido in men, and that's coming from an expert. That story is on page 3. Terrorism incubated under your watch. Presidency replies Obasanjo. Tinubu won't outsource security to foreign powers, it states. That's on page 11. Over 25,000 foreign vessels illegally trading in Nigerian waters, and that's coming from Agbakoba. Says Nigeria losing 70 trillion naira annually to maritime regulatory gaps. That story is on page 5. And on page 6, cost of FATF grey listing, Cardoso laments $30 billion potential investment loss in 1 year. And lastly, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, we have Wike approves commencement of enforcement actions on 1,095 properties in FCC. And that's on page 14 through to page 33. Taking some of the inside stories now. Starting with stories on page 3. Abacha $490 million loot probe. EFCC seizes ex-AGF Malami's passport. Former Osun APC chairman, Famodu, is dead. Adeleke mourns. Resident doctors suspend strike, issue fresh 4-week deadline. All stories on page 3. Soyinka to federal government beef of security around schools nationwide, and that story is on page 4. Of course, for the past few weeks, we saw that schools have been shut in the north. We just hope, security, there will be more security around schools in Nigeria currently, especially now that we are dealing with so much insecurity issues. Alleged lead poisoning, Ogun commences free testing on Ogijo resident. Tame escalating security challenges facing Nigeria. Group charges security agencies. All stories on page 4. And on page 5, we have on business and economy, SEC partners agencies to end Ponzi menace. That's on page 5. Moving on to page 40, AI in advertising, why stronger regulation, mass sensitization have become imperative, and that's coming from stakeholders. On page 41, Daniel accuses Governor Abiodun of running tiny cabal government. That story is on page 41. Moving to the back page on 46, NDLEA uncovers illicit drugs packaged as Christmas cookies, arrest distributors in Lagos. Naps couple, one other with 1,125 rounds of 7.62 live ammunition in Kaduna. Police arrest suspect over murder of retired female judge in Delta. And still on page 46, 9 killed in Benue auto crash, 3 dead as petrol tanker crashes, explodes in Kano. And taking some sports stories on the back page of the Nigerian Tribune, Silver Lords Chukwueze in Fulham's win over Spurs. I am better suited to Bundesliga football, and that's coming from Oyeka. 10-man Chelsea holds Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. And lastly, we have Onuachi Bag's brace for Trabzonspor. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune. Of course, other dailies we've read out to you this morning. We'll be right back after this weather report, straight to our interview segment. Please stay with us.
Ready for school? Yes! My champs, they use energy at school. I know because imagine the energy they may have used up to return home distransformed every day.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release to help champs get the most out of their active days.
Milo!
All right, welcome back. It's still AM120 on the Broadcasting Corporation of your state. Of course, this morning, we're looking at what we call, during this interview segment, rising insecurity and effect on education. That's what we're looking at. And of course, rising insecurity in Nigeria has severe impact on education by causing schools closures, abductions, low enrollment, leading to a significant increase in out-of-school children, disrupting academic program. The crisis has also led to the death or displacement of teachers, negatively affecting the quality of instruction and creating a climate of fear for both students and education. To do justice to the conversation this morning, we have with us in the studio a professor of education, Professor Olawale Morunkola, who is an educationist from the Department of Health Education at the Premier University, University of Ibadan, and of course, a former dean of the Faculty of Education. Thank you for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's look at it. Suddenly, it dawned on us as a nation that our educational sector is being severely affected by terror acts. Now, before now, many years ago when I was growing up, education was something that everyone wanted to take part in. And not just that, nobody will dare hurt a child, a school student. There was respect for school students. But unfortunately today, reverse is the case. How did we get here?
Well, thank you very much. Let me first say that what we are witnessing is destruction of our value system for several years ago that we have not taken cognizance of. And that the attack on the school or kidnapping is not new in the country. What is new is that the speed and the aggressiveness of the perpetrators of this act. The federal government for around 2015 have set up panels, have policy aimed at addressing this issue. But the problem is that Nigeria have beautiful policies, beautiful intentions, but actualization of these policies the issue. You will recollect that, just like was said, in those days, I know when I was growing up, schools, churches especially, also, the same pattern you will find out. So the problem is the people.
People not being conscious of what education does for us as a nation. And education is being taken seriously. And how, I know in those days, in the 60s, 70s, when we hear of education in Nigeria, it was taking so much, there was so much importance, attached to education as we are in Nigeria currently. Now, how did we get it wrong? At what point, did we deviate from
development? Establishing a school is just one point. Giving necessary inputs to make the school work is another thing. We called the input into the educational system. What are the materials the teacher and the learners we need to use? What about the issue of security that we are talking about, which we should not lose focus on, because I think that is a major issue. You go to look at all the schools attack that those of you in the media have given to us to look at. You will see the signpost to the school looks so tattered. When you are going to a place, and what should serve as something to herald that you are going to an organization is in tattered state, then you can imagine what the inside will look at. Go and look at the signposts of the Baga or so schools. You will see that signpost must have been left there without any touch for the past 20 or 25 years. So these are what we are saying about the facilities, about the materials, the inputs that the school system need to have to be safe and to facilitate effective teaching learning process. They are no more there in our schools.
Okay, now let's look at the structure we have always had. When I was in primary school, we had security at the gate. The security was not a policeman, neither was the security a military man. Today, we're now calling for security in our schools. Not just today. This began when schools... What kind of security are we looking at?
Thank you very much. I belong to the highest professional association in Nigeria, and that is Nigeria Academy of Education. This is what we are talking about the issue when I say about facilities. Like you have rightly said, it's not only providing security. What can a gate man do nowadays? It is important, but are the school fence round? Even the gate man, is he empowered to be able to respond adequately? We are talking about CCTV camera should be in place in many schools. They are not there. And many times when even we talk about security in schools, though we are focusing on the recent that the more publicized, there are other issues relating to security in schools. What about children bullying one another? You find out that even with the attack, some students, some learners may not want to go to school because their classmates are bullying them. What effort are we doing to make sure that teacher continuing education is in place? How many of our teachers have? Nowadays, these people...
Free day.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them Billow at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release to help champs get the most out of their active days.
Thank you very much for staying with us. We're still talking about rising insecurity and its effect on education in Nigeria. Before we went on that break, Prof, you were talking about destruction of educational system and, of course, the benefits these bandits derive from attacking the schools. But before we talk about the terrorism act that has been going on in schools lately, you mentioned bullying, which is also another threat to education in Nigeria. And I understand this is not a new conversation. This is a conversation that has been ongoing for a while. But since you mentioned it, I think we should also talk about it, because as much as we're talking of security, we really do not look at it in that light as bullying also being part of another form of insecurity on education in Nigeria. So at this point, when we have schools or students being bullied and they do not have the flair to go to school to study, how should parents now and of course teachers deal with this particular part of insecurity?
Well, insecurity or negative safety issues in school, let me first of all say that it affects everybody. The learner, the teacher, the community where they are, and the entire society. Now, the issue of bullying is that serving teachers should receive training to empower them to be able to address this issue. And now do they need necessary skills? Like I said, several years ago, I participated in a program put in place by the Federal Ministry of Education to address some of these OVC, orphan and vulnerable children, street children. But you find out that the problem in our country is that immediately a program is launched, immediately you do sensitization for once, you just drop it and look at another thing. And no sustainability of our programs. And that is the problem we have. And the issue of bullying also arises from what the child is seeing at home. Parents, are they fighting to the extent of exchanging, the husband and the wife? We also know the rate of divorce in our society. That means that something is also happening at home. Then also, what type of films, especially nowadays, whereby everybody, without restriction, carries phone that shows implicit content. What about, even on the road, children see people pulling somebody from the commercial bus, beating them up, and there are no consequences. They see dead bodies on the road, and nobody's. So you see, that's why when we started, I said, the value system, the reorientations that we need should be in place. In those days, I don't know whether you meet it in my days, we have what we call school fathers, school mothers.
Yeah.
Such things is that the senior do such things to reorient the younger ones into school life. And so even if there is anything, you find the school father, the school mother protecting that child. But that is not there again.
Okay.
So those are all many of the things that has gone wrong in our system.
Okay, Prof. Let's look at it. The federal government and some northern states have ordered the shutdown of academic activities in some schools over rising insecurity and the abduction of pupils. While the federal government closed 41 unity schools, governors of Kwara, Plateau, Niger, Benue, and Katsina also shut down schools in their state. Tension escalated after Friday's attack on St. Mary's School, a Catholic institution in the Papiri community of Aguara local government area of Niger State, where 215 students were abducted and 12 teachers. This was only 4 days after the 26 schoolgirls were abducted from Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State. I was somewhere around, Akure last week, during the week. And I also saw that many parents were picking up their children, and some said categorically, my children are not going to school again this year. My children are going to stay home. Vis-a-vis the figures that we have, the statistics, that said that Nigeria is one of the countries that has the highest number of out-of-school children. And that's between 10 to 20 million out-of-school children. Efforts have been made to bring back these children to school. But it seemed like when we take 2 steps, the terrorists drag us back 10 steps. What is the way out?
Well, thank you very much. You see, that's what I said about our government. Sometimes we see them responding, but it's a reactionary one. It is fire brigade approach. And that can be seen in all areas of our national life. But again, let me say that the president has done right. You know, he has official trip to go outside the country for staying put, and also for the country having that result of these students coming back, because we should not every time vilify the government. So for that singular, I think Nigeria needs to. But we need to do more. Like you have rightly said, the out-of-school children that are in this country is enormous. Not only that, it also has gender issue because of most of these children that are being kidnapped, the terrorists, the bandits target young girls. And when you see those things, especially in the Northeast, another area, although it's also coming gradually down south, then you will see the age-long, what is in it? Why does a woman need education coming? Is it not to be in the kitchen? Is it not to serve as domestic? So you will see that the value of being a woman is being degraded in our society. Now, also, the economic aspect of it, you won't blame any parents. Because what one will have expected the country to do is to ensure that we have more security to be in place. Reassuring the community members that, look, we are on top of the situation. But we have seen in the past, also the repeaters say, we commiserate with this, we do that, and after some time, we all forget about it. So the government needs to empower, and what the government is trying to do, recruiting more security arms of the government should be in place. And not only also do that, we must teach them on how to respect the children. Because I remember one time when I was in around 1976 or so, when there were issues of exam cheating problem, what we have is that soldiers were posted to schools. And they created more fear in the schools. So those to be deployed also must have civil approach in addressing the school community members, but being aggressive on those. And we should not even wait that things occur. The warning signals should be there. And our response.
Are you saying military should be posted to our schools?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that in the past, whether it's civil defense, whether it's police, whether it's the military, because it depends on the gravity. But you know, military in the real sense of it has nothing to do with civilian. It has to protect the nation, not internal security. So what I'm trying to say is that individuals that will be deployed must have a civil way approach in protecting the school community members. When we talk about school community members, we are talking about the staff and the learners. But anybody bringing external aggression should be dealt with very much.
But Prof, talking about security personnel deployed to our schools, for a country where we've seen atrocities in quotes, perpetrated by some of these security personnel also. We saw what happened during the era of NSAS protests. And of course, even till now, that experience still lingers in the heart of most people. Even children were part of some of those experiences. Some of them lost siblings, some of them lost, parents. And now we say security personnel will be deployed to school. Is that not also a way of creating fear in the mind of these children, considering the fact that they might not even concentrate when they see security guards or security personnel?
That's what I've just said, that they must be civil in their approach. And when we are talking about security, it doesn't necessarily have to be the government's own security. You have the security. Part of the school system, Safe School Initiative, is that the school must provide security. But what we are saying is, what I'm trying to put across is that our response system, our alarm system should be that, let's say we have about 10 schools in this. In fact, how many schools will there be security people? It will be, what we are saying is that you have maybe 5 security people to 10 to 15 schools roaming about, that if there's anything a gate man notice, a head of school notice, there must be a place to call. And those places to call must have functional vehicle. Not that they will tell you that you send vehicle or you will buy them petrol.
There's no fuel.
Or there's no fuel. So all those things needs to be, if we are serious, like I said, how we approach issues. Then even the government have set out 15 billion several years back about Safe School Initiative. How much was released? How much was released to buy materials? How much was released? But how much was released to do the workshop? To do the workshop, pay people per diem, and so on and so forth. These are the issues that affect us as a country. Where we spend money is not where we should spend money. We can budget 20 billion for a particular. How many for a particular event? How much actually goes into what we make that program to work? That is what we should be looking at.
Now, there are reports, latest report that says that terrorists are now using satellite communication to evade security operations. And that's coming from the National Space Research and Development Agency in Nigeria, coming from the Director General. Now, how do you see this statement? And the question is, who gave them the opportunity to have access to the communication space?
Well, that tells you the issue of what I said about policy issue. Even, you see, sometimes when you hear people say certain things, those in authority, you wonder what they think the Nigerian taxpayer are paying them for. I think if you say such, what we expect is that these are the proactive measures
that have been put in place.
That have been put in place to counteract what these people are planning. Because when the act of public speaking, by that alone, you create more fear in the people. And that's what I said that about those in the helms of affair to be able to know what they need to say at the appropriate time. The statistics being given should be for operational work, not one that you will release that will terrify. And when you give these statistics to the bandits, the kidnappers, they're happy. And then you create a sense of fear to those who are going to confront them. I think it is an holistic approach that we need to find ourselves, we need to work so that to address this issue. It is the parent, the community, the school system, the government, every one of us have a bit to play. Because like I said, each of the sections in the country is affected.
All right.
And I'm sorry to say, those of in this part of the country, we should not wait. I give you an instance.
Before you give us an instance, we need to pay some bills.
Okay.
Can you let's pay some bills? We'll be right back. Let's go on this commercial break.
What wakes you up in the morning? Is it the sunrise? Is it the alarm? No. It's your dream that wakes you every day. It's what drives you like a powerful engine. That's why you start strong every day with the rich, creamy taste of Nescafe Original 3-in-1, carefully crafted from selected coffee beans. You are on your hustle, and you won't stop until you succeed. Start strong, finish strong.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Still talking about rising insecurity and its effect on our education. Before we went on that break, Prof, you wanted to give an instance, on security and how it has affected the nation.
Well, what I'm saying is that each section of the country is usually affected when we have this issue. And I said it affects governance structure, it affects the people, it affects the school system is again. And even the economic issue, the national development, it also affects the security architecture of the country. You hear what the president say, that police officers should be withdrawn. They didn't plan for that. January, February, March this year.
But this is not the first time we hear, such pronouncements being made. And even after we've heard it, we've still seen police officers behind, some VIPs. I mean, I think the president made the pronouncement 2 weeks ago, or the order 2 weeks ago. We've still seen.
Yes, yeah, you can. You see, yes, you will still see some. What the president is saying to me is that not just be anybody.
Okay.
Because there are certain individuals, because of the position they hold, because of the enormity of what the country expects from them, then they must be provided with security. But if I have money, if you have money, if you want to have a marriage ceremony or something like that, you can apply and they can give. That is what I think the president is saying. I mean, you see a convoy of people, you see a number of police officers going. That is what I think the president is saying. It's not that. Because, okay, God forbid, if anything happens to a very, very significant, all of us are significant, but I think you will understand what I'm saying. There are people that the trust of governance in this country are in their hands. You don't joke with all those people. Sometimes as a nation, we oversay many of these things. Because if you look at how some officers in other climes, especially in other, not in Africa, how they protect those who make things to happen. You see, the problem we have in Nigeria or in Africa is that many of those that we say are security officers are those who are in uniform. You may not see a single person wearing uniform, but the security work will be foolproof that nothing can happen. So that is, I think, what the government, what the president is saying.
Prof, earlier you mentioned that most times when the government responds, it's usually a reaction. 2 days ago, the president declared the nationwide emergency on security, and he has called on the National Assembly to legalize state policing. And this has been a conversation called from different quarters for the past few years, talking of state policing. Why is it that at every point in Nigeria where there's an occurrence talking of insecurity, and that is when our government reacts? And then now we are now talking of, a few months ago, we saw what happened in Benue State, where over 200 people were killed in a night. And of course, the president called on for state policing then, but nothing has been done. And now we have seen abduction of school children, coming days, and it feels like it's becoming a norm.
Thank you very much. You see, governance is not easy. Like I tell people, sometimes you criticize people because to some extent I've been a little bit in governance. You say, oh, I will do this, I will do that, I will do this. But when chips are down, you will know there are so many variables of governance that you need to put in place. The president alone cannot just say, let there be state police. The National Assembly alone cannot say, let there be. Because how governance is run is that you have to buy in everybody consent. And if the consent of most stakeholders are not sought and well actualized, then there will be a problem. So I'll be happy if we have state police. But I also think that when we have state police, it will not create another problem. Because one thing about governance, one thing about issue is that sometimes if you don't think through, you solve a problem and you do what? You create another problem. Political experience of the past is what made many people before to think that are we right, but I don't know. Because even in media houses before, It was strictly regulated. But nowadays, we see that there are competition. Private media houses, whether print, whether electronic, whether the one of new media. Now, the issue of information flow in the country is better off than when it was only public.
Okay, Prof, I got your explanation, talking of the creation of state policing, and, I wasn't even referring to the presidency now. You're talking of our lawmakers, being in charge. But do you think with the insecurity challenges we have in Nigeria, there's a political undertone?
Well, I'm not in politics, but I think it looks like it. Because with what media people are feeding us, and with what we can reason as educated people, there must have been some people behind this. And in Nigeria, everything can be done in the name of money and the name of politics. Are we saying that people we have not been able to apprehend, even if it's only one or two people, those apprehended, what has happened to them? The issue of reintegration of
repentant bandit.
It doesn't, to me, it doesn't look so nice. It doesn't look so nice. So, but like I said many times, those of us who are not opportune to be on the seat may not actually know what the problem is all about. But I think our leaders need to do more. Because if the citizens are feeling unsafe, if the citizens feel this should be done, if they are not done, the whole explanation, this is why. If other countries are saying, we can notice that these are likely people to be responsible for your problem, we should go deeper and find out information.
The former president is, telling the presidency that, let's involve, foreigners to help us fight insecurity. But now the presidency has responded, saying that the root of this insecurity we have in Nigeria started, during Obasanjo's regime. And there's been a lot of back and forth from, both parties. But do you think we need foreigners, to help us fight battle? Do you think it's something we cannot handle as a nation on our own?
You see, I will use this as example, which I normally, although I divert a bit.
Okay.
When I'm doing marriage counseling for people, we say, don't allow third party to come into your marriage. But if you know it is going to a state that if there are crises, you may not be able to redeem it, why not inform the other party? I also say to women in marriage counsel, I said, those you will, if the marriage collapses, those you will not feel okay to go and kneel down for before, why not respect them now so that you will save your marriage? Because if the marriage breaks down, those small boys, those people in the family that will now go and beg. What I'm saying is this, to put it straight. If we borrow money from outside, why is it difficult for us to seek for assistance? But in signing, we have to be circumspect about our signing of any document. We should not give in our nationhood. We should not give in our sovereignty in the case of people coming to help us. We must be sincere, because if some people have had opportunity of defending themselves, and that brings me back that all security issues are local. Hello? All security people are locals. Where those bandits are, kidnappers are, you will hear some governors, they say, we know them, we know their parents.
Because we've heard that several times.
So it's become irritating. So if you know them, if you know where they live, if you go there and negotiate with them, then what else are you going to do?
But why do you think it's they find it difficult, to name them? And also, do you think negotiating with these terrorists is actually the best way for us in Nigeria?
When things like that come, the most important thing is that you win. The approach you will use, people say, stoop down to conquer. What we are interested in as people in this country is that let this thing stop. The way it will stop is left to those in governance. Why have they been able to? We are not in governance. Like I said, governance is not easy as those of us being led. There are variables. And politicians also, there are things they need to consider. But something will happen. Okay, I give you an instance. It's just like a child. A child sees his father as rich as any other father. Abi? You even see primary school children. They will say, my father will buy an aeroplane. Abi? Have you heard that?
Yes.
That car is going, my father is going. The father may not be able to have money to buy a bicycle. So until you are there, Bob Marley in those days used to say, who knows it, feels it. I don't think anybody will be in power and be happy watching people suffering, watching blood, watching children being in captivity.
But Prof,
they need to do more.
But Prof, do you think those in power are actually living in reality, the same reality, citizens are living in currently? Because sometimes you ask yourself questions like, are these people really seeing? Are they hearing the cries of the people? Do they really understand what the people are going through?
Well, it may be yes or no. And based on experience, based on my age, I've read a former wife of head of state in this country, when the husband died, he said, I was surprised to hear what he was hearing, because those who are feeding them information are telling them things are okay. So, and it depends on the advisors to government. Then, those in government, are they listening? You see, these things are interwoven to the extent that you will say that, are we actually, just like you have said, those in governance, do they actually feel what we are feeling? So my own take is this. Like I said, my own professional association, Nigeria Academy of Education, has reacted. How many people that are expected to react, how many of them are there? You have parent teachers association. Have you heard their voices? Have you heard it? You have NUT, you have principals.
2 weeks ago, NUT came out to say, I wouldn't say they threatened.
Why will it be 2 weeks?
They talked about shutting down schools if nothing is being done to the security, architecture, apparatus of the nation.
That is why I told you that it doesn't, you say we put emphasis, yes, on our children because their life matters, they are our future. But the teacher, the school staff, they also have lives. If a teacher dies, look at so many dependents on that individual teacher, whether a male or a female teacher. So it has to be an holistic approach to solve the problem.
Okay, Prof, let's look at, we've talked about so many issues around this insecurity and how it affects education. But let's now look at it. The issue of state police. You have said policing is a local thing. Insecurity is equally a local thing. And we're aware that, of course, the houses of assembly are expected to receive, documents and begin. What do you think they should work on, especially when it comes to state policing? More importantly, transferring people who are not among the locals to their locality. How does this affect insecurity negatively?
Okay, thank you very much. If you have to police, if you have to provide security, you must know what happens in that locality. You must know the way out. And that is why people are saying, which I also subscribe to, just like what you said. If we have state police, a lot of these people will have to come from the environment, especially if it has to do with operation. Come to think of it, I'm relatively new in this studio. If you say, go and bring anything now, I may not know my way out. So somebody just transfer from Enugu, transfer to Kaduna, from Kaduna to Oyo State, and you post that individual to Kyogun. It will take 2 or 3 months for that individual to be able to know the road network, to be able to know who are the opinion leaders in this place, who are the people. You know, people may be in power and they may not have authority. So who are those that if they say, yes, this is what we are going to do, that is what they are going to do. So it will take time. But also you know that in other climes, there are federal police and there are local state police and even local government police. And they have their different levels of functions. And I think that we are at that level now that we think before the end of this administration of the current president, that should be a foregone conclusion.
Do you have confidence in this present federal government to solve the problem of insecurity? Because you recall that many presidents have come to power and they have been unable to address insecurity holistically. I mean, to the extent that we'll be able to go to bed with our 2 eyes closed.
It will be wrong for me to say I don't believe in the president.
Okay.
Not because I'm a civil, maybe because I'm a federal government worker. Like I said, what they are doing, we may not appreciate enough.
Okay.
Because sometimes when we criticize those at the end of affairs, we don't have all the facts. And I've said it before. You don't solve one problem and create multiple problems. So somebody cannot say, I want George to be president, I want to be governor, I want to be this. You will find people say, why are you borrowing? Is America not borrowing? What is this? This money you are borrowing, what do you use it for? And that is accountability in governance. So if we lose faith, if we lose faith in our leaders, we are at peril, we are at our own peril. The only thing that I believe as a patriotic citizen is like what we are doing, that maybe somebody somewhere will listen to what we are saying. Maybe we'll be able to say, oh, there is a problem. Because don't forget, they have, like I said, very little bit near governance before. You have people who advise you. If you have a media officer who tells you about what a president cannot watch all television, cannot read all newspaper. What part of the newspaper that is out today that those who are in governance give to the president to read? What type of news that they want the president to watch? As the president is here, look at what I said before. The president was supposed to be out of the country, maybe to negotiate economy, bilateral something. That a vice president went cannot be at the same as if the president is there, because the vice president will have to brief the president. So this is, and I usually use simple example. You live in a 3-bedroom flat, and you are there as a father. You don't know what all the children are doing. We have 36 states and federal capital. I cannot say all, but I've been to nothing less than 30 states of the federation, including the federal capital. And I want to tell you, whoever is leading Nigeria, whoever is leading to Nigeria, you are on a platform, WhatsApp platform. You are on a WhatsApp platform. How is it, if you say rules of this platform, how many people flout that rules? So don't let us look as if the governor, presidency, government is a party affair. It's a tea party. It's a drinking spree. People have serious headache. And I don't know of any individual, although it will surprise you that if somebody has found the first tenure so difficult, why is he going for second tenure? That is their own way of life. So what we need is everybody, if you know how to pray, if you know how to make suggestion. US, that is saying that when people say should come, don't they have gun shooting in their schools? Don't they? They have. But it is the enormity of the problem we are facing that we believe. And the resources we are putting in this that is not giving us
Are we
results.
really putting resources?
I've said. I said in the past, few years ago, maybe 3 or 5 years ago, like what I said, the Nigerian Academy of Education found out and put in public speech. 15 billion was committed by government. I don't know how much was released. You see? I don't know how much was spent. Our way of tracking money voted is another issue. When money is voted, how do we track it? Do we actually allocate money to the essential or something that my friends, my family members will benefit? Who is supplying the materials? You say yes.
FOI is not working. FOI is not working.
Don't let us do your best. If all of us are at the various points of our beats, that is what I encourage myself with. Anywhere I find myself, I do the little. And I can go back and say, I've done the little. If all of us try to do the little we can do, this country is... When we say government, who is government? Simple definition of government. Who is it? It's all of us. And like I said, it will be stupid of any leader if he or she does not have mental health issue to watch people being killed and be happy. You see, you will find out also our leaders, like you leave credence to a former president, is when they are out of power, they now know what to do.
All right, Prof, we have a commercial break, and when we return, we'll talk more on the rising insecurity in Nigeria and, of course, how it affects our education. Please stay with us.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. We still have Professor Olawale Morunkola, an educationist who has been talking to us, on the rising insecurity we have in our schools today. Prof, before we went on that break, you mentioned that if we as individuals do what we are supposed to do, things would also be better. But when individuals do what they are supposed to do, how do we begin to hold our leaders accountable, for that which they haven't done for the citizens?
And addendum to that, Prof, doing what we should do. We have seen cases where headsmen were being arrested, taken to the police station, and one call from somewhere, the guy is released. So you see that sometimes citizens are also doing what they should do, but unfortunately. So, of course, going back to accountability and holding them responsible.
Thank you very much. I think I said that. That is what makes Nigerians to be fearful about our leaders. If they have necessary information, what would they use? Like the example you have given. But I said, unless you are there, one may not know. Look, people will say, oh, why not send drones to go and kill? Then we will hear that these people use those they kidnap. In fact, there is a school of thought now that the upsurge in this kidnapping was that this theory that because America said it's going, they want to use this as a buffer, something to as a shield to their enclave. That's one theory, which can be true. That okay. So if this is coming, if this nation is coming to defend, when these people are in, then we can be. But I know that those who are trained in security, the sophistication of security, they will be able to know how to maneuver this.
Definitely.
So there are so many theories. So if I propose this theory, I'm a president or governor's advisor. I propose this theory. Another person comes around and propose this theory. You will see our traditional rulers. They will also come. Like I said, my association, Nigeria Academy of Education, also said is own. So the person that is at the end of affair, we have to sieve this and be able to know which one. But the problem we have, like we agree as citizens of this country, is that our response is not as fast as one. Our information flow to public is not. Look at a lot of millions, billions being allocated. The former president, this president, also always having security meeting. The parliament, the national parliament, we call the security chief. Something is missing somewhere, which all of us may not be able to know. It is those who are in governance, it is those who are in security architecture of this country that I'm an educationist. What concerns me is make our school to be safe. How you are going to do it, that is your own problem. Because that is what taxpayers' money. You are receiving salary, so you should be able to do it. And there must be accountability. There must be repercussion. You remember one time when the late president he asked a police officer, is it a police or military officer, to go to Jos. 2 or 3 weeks, the person is still there, not going. But you see that this current president, I'm not a politician. I'm saying that there is improvement in leadership. Sorry to say, whoever is got. The president said the Minister of State for Defense should leave and go. And within 2 or 3 days, whether it's negotiation, whether it's spying, whether it's this, the most important thing is the children are back. People say whether you tie body for wrapper or wrapper for body, the most important thing is that let the individual not be naked.
You see, it's good when we talk about some of these issues, but you see, the kind of traumatic experience people have and the trauma they're left with goes a long way. We're talking about school children. Let's go back and look at what happened in South Africa, Soweto, the apartheid, period. It still lies in the mind of many. These are incidents that have suddenly become, literature for us to read and understand what happened. And we're now talking about school children that were in school to study. And suddenly somebody came, shooting sporadically, picked them up and made them trek in the bush, for days, for hours, till they got to a destination unknown. Trust me, will that child come back and would want to go back to school? It's a question that I'm not sure if we have an answer to.
That's what I'm saying. I said that is if not only on the children, even on the parents, even on the teachers, even on the local community. It affects everybody. So the only thing we can do is having programs like this. It's government that should sensitize us, but it's other way around. We are sensitizing the government that do the needful, give us results. And I say to people, Nigerians are not asking for more. What Nigerians are asking for is good roads, electricity, water, and security. Especially in this part of the country. We don't look at, it's only the referrals that looks on the leaders, their political leaders to be able to hit one day or two. in this part of the country. What people want is just give us an enabling environment to be able to use our God-given knowledge to be able to make life better.
All right, Prof. Talking about, still the same insecurity, especially the rise we've seen in recent days in our schools today. Parents are scared, even teachers are scared, like you said. Now, should we begin to look at homeschooling? Is that the way forward for us in Nigeria?
You say,
considering the fact that 41 unity schools are already closed, northern schools in the northern region, talking of the north central, have also been shut down. Should we begin to talk about homeschooling?
Well, let me say that it's even we don't pray it extend here. Although we have seen pockets of, at least has gone to Kwara, we don't pray it gets to this place. But what I'm saying is that there is no perfect system. There is no perfect educational system. It will be because the things are not there. When you say homeschool, even in school where they are supposed to be, where we need to have electricity supply, where we need to have, people talk about during COVID, we have virtual learning, we have all this. To what extent has it worked? Hello? To what extent has it worked? So you don't create, it is a defeatist attitude. It is a defeatist attitude to me to say you jettison one system which you have not reached the level of giving all necessary inputs and you jettisoning in the name of who draws the curriculum for the old school? How does it work? No, I'm just saying.
In a system where
no, what I'm saying is this.
Students are not safe.
Hello,
So
the Yorubas of which you are a Yoruba lady. The Yoruba will say cutting off the head.
It's not the solution.
It's not the solution. Because after some time, where you are running to, you still find problem there. What we need to do is to ensure that we make it work. American will say, what works? What works? You look at so many things that are wrong with us. We do one system. I'm sorry I'm bringing this issue in. Look at the language issue also we say. The language issue in education we say. People have researched, people have done a lot. Suddenly, you are reversing us back again. And that's why I said, those who give, those politicians, those who are the advisors, are not doing this nation well good. If there's anything like that. They don't give the right advice to government. And I also made it understand that we need to think through whatever policy we are putting in place. And that an aspect that concerns me, that concerns you are doing your bit now as a journalist. And I'm doing part of my own work as a university professor, because this, what I'm doing is part of my work. We call it community service, community engagement. So I'm still working. You are still working. All of us are working. And we are seeing how our nation can be better off. So if we do our bit, then we continue to progress.
Okay, sorry, let's look at the instruction, the directive by the president to the houses of assembly to legalize local police and state police. You know, we've talked about this before. Do you think this will scale through? Again, will it not be a situation where the houses of assembly even voted against their own independence?
Well, that's what I pray that this time around, any house of assembly that does that is an enemy of the people. That is where you, as people, a media, should also sensitize those in parliament, state parliaments. This thing is coming. What is your own view? But also, you will see, when you see, write it down, that some politician, as good as we are calling it, they be afraid of 2027. They will tell you the president is coming, is introducing that. That is not the solution. The president wants that every state of the federation should vote for him. That is the dilemma of the person in power. You know this is what, and that's why I said the confounding variables that sometimes extraneous ones that you don't think of, you also think that some people may be thinking about them. So you want to do one thing, you have to wait. What? You have read about this Boko Haram, about this something that some people are saying they are part of us. Have we not seen it? Some people are saying they are like, even last week, some people are saying they are like militants in the oil producing. Are they related? So when you look at this, that is what makes the work of the president so difficult. That if I do it this way, what is these other people thinking about? So leadership is not as easy as, and with the people that want better governance, we don't help the situation.
How?
Yes, like I said, how do you call orange and apple the same thing? How can you say Boko Haram and the Niger Delta? But what is that resources that the people are fighting for? What are the real resources that you will say, give these people? So these are issues that makes governance to be a little bit slow in making certain pronouncements, in doing certain things. Sometimes, you say something may be nice, but at a particular time, something may not be expedient. You may know what to say at the appropriate time, but you look at the issues. Is it the right time for me to say this? Is it the right time for me to do this? Those are those things confronting. Now, I believe the state police will be one of the answers. But like I said, that can be another policy, a good policy. Are they going to be funded? How many are they going to be recruited by party? Oh, party ABC is in government. So all my loyalists, all those who I didn't have an appointment for, are the ones that I'm going to be there. So that by 2027, any people in party XYZ, they will disallow. So those are the issues. So unless we are ourselves, we love ourselves, we see that the policy of government cannot be sustainable if we collectively don't do our own part.
Prof, you talked about, policies a lot, talking of this conversation, but actualization of the policies.
That's the issue.
That was where you started your conversation from this morning. Now, to tackle this, menace we are facing head on, what policies do you think, strict policies, do you think the government should begin to look into? And of course, how do we also talk about implementation of those policies?
I will align with what I said my professional association about, because their own thinking is more than my own. One, let people be accountable. The security people should be accountable. Also, the Nigerian Academy of Education says that people manning our security, whether they are uniform, whether they are in school, they should be civil in their approach in dealing with people, that is the learner and the staff. Also, government should make those who perpetrate this evil, when they are found and their human rights are checked, everything about the law of the land are checked. If they are found culpable, then let the law take its course. Because if you don't do this, you will be giving excuses, you'll be creating a favorable environment. You see, why this is festering is like a wound. When there is a wound and you don't treat, you don't put hydrogen peroxide or salt to clean, what happens? The wound continues to fester. So attack it. And let us also not be reactive. Let's plan ahead, especially those schools in the border areas. And then nobody should tell us that during this festive period that armed robbery, banditry will not increase. So, you see, you wonder whether we as a people, we don't think. It's like on the road now, many people will travel. If the FRSC people are not on the road, if during festive season, something is wrong with us as a people. So we must be preemptive of the likely consequences. Then we must use people in the university and other research institutes to be able to provide solutions to us. Many times, our researchers' approach are just on shelf. Many times, those that are supposed, who know about it, when you sort, a lot of work I've done about safety. My department, we have a section in Department of Health Education, Faculty of Education. We have what we call, even we run a master in health education, masters in health and safety education. Part of what we teach these people is what I'm talking about. How many of us are called? So what I'm saying is that every stakeholder, I usually see, to any problem that has a national outlook, community outlook, it is a team approach. Parents too. These children who are in banditry, who are in armed robbery, they don't come from heaven or hell. They are born into families. What are parents doing? Sorry. You see, there was one attack in US this year, about 3 or 4 months ago, came a popular and motivational speaker. And the father is a police officer. The father tracked the child and gave the police. How many parents will do that in Nigeria? What we do is that how to give the child a safe landing. So we cannot be US, we cannot be Britain, they also have their own problem. But we cannot grow to them if we don't want to behave
All right,
like
Prof.
them.
As we begin to wind down, so much has been said concerning the government's responsibility. But let's look at parents' responsibilities now. Now, I'm not talking of, from the bandits or terrorists' perspective, but protection of their wards in schools and also school authorities. How should we begin to look into protecting, the school environment and, of course, the children that have been kept in their care?
Thank you. The society is in form of layers. There are public schools, there are private schools, and there are different types of public school. You cannot say government college, Apata. You cannot equate it from Olorombo, I don't want to mention name, Olorombo Community Grammar School. Parents have a role to play. How? I know of some parents, they can kill cow. Even local people who sell things, tomatoes, who sell this to name children. Ask them to come and contribute something to the school. They will say it's government. So fencing of a school, public school, can be that of the role. All clubs that we have, I don't want to be mentioning names so that people will not think, all social clubs, they can adopt a school. We want to fence, we want to provide security. Go to many public schools in Oyo State. Go to some in LA area and other places. You will see bushes. You will see abandoned buildings. How much money does government have that people think government can do everything? So these are where PTA, government also should be sincere and don't give people the impression that because of votes that they can do everything. When the chips are down, whether a child goes to public school, whether it goes to private school, when the child graduates, who does the child recognize? Except they come in tax. How many people do apprenticeship what do you call him? Tailor, driver, the hand salary, their income is more than yours. Do they pay tax? The only thing that government workers look at is that at least if they retire, they'll be getting some things. But when you look at it, these people, who are those that we are renting houses from? Are they not people selling something from Bodija Market, selling rice and beans? Am I lying? So what I'm saying is that these people need to be sensitized to make sure they contribute to school development, for school security. I'm coming to this vigilante in the community. Do they extend also their services to school? So no, don't leave everything to government. Let the community also see, what can I do? And so that is why also those scholars in community development need to expand this area to see that if we want our society to be what we want to do, the community itself, we need to have something to do.
Okay, Prof, finally, as we're winding down the program, I'd like you to tell us, don't you think that we have too many schools in Nigeria? Maybe that's why we're unable to manage them. Or is it that is our population commensurate to the number of schools? Because, I mean, when we didn't have this much schools, I'm not sure these kind of problems that we're counting today were there. Some are establishing schools that they are not managing. And yet, government keep issuing license for others to start schools.
Well, thank you very much. Like I said, government cannot do everything. I don't think it's two-way approach. It depends on look and the level of education. If we leave this station now and go out and drive around Ibadan, you will see many children roaming the streets. And when you get to, there is something that is viral now. One school in Sokoto, maybe it has not come to your home platform. 150 children in a school, and they have been sitting on the floor. Tell me, what is the psych? And we have leaders. So, coming back to what we have said, if it is university, if it has tertiary level polytechnics, I think for now we have sufficient. What we should do is that we should expand the existing one. Of what use do you have a university that is less than 1,000, especially the private one? In fact, the government one, because every of our politicians now want a university in his or her secretarial city to be able to say, this is the dividends of democracy and bring it to you. You see, that is what I'm saying about, you look at me and say, why am I saying leadership? If you give me vote as president, and you come to me, and 4 of you comes to me and say, come 2037, my people have been crying that say you must do this thing for them. If the pressure is high, you will say, oh, then he doesn't have his own. So that's why I say leadership, all of us together, has a role to play.
Okay.
To enable our leaders to think right and do what is right.
Okay. We want to say a big thank you to you, Professor Olawale Moronkola, who is an educationist, a former dean of